The views and opinions expressed by Craig's Terrible Idea podcast are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. Any content provided by the authors and their guests are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. No animals were harmed in the creation of the podcast, as far as we know.
Hey, can you hear me? Connecting to audio. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Ah, there we go. All right, just waiting for Knucklehead number 3.
Ugh.
It's been a rough week for all of us, man.
Yeah, but the finish good.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Oh, look at that. That is.
Yeah, boy.
Yes.
Windows running.
A lot of jealous people. I'm telling you right now. There are a lot of jealous people going to be
Fancy
looking
colors. Yeah, boy.
Yeah, at least you
And
have
it's nice
room.
and quiet.
I know. It's not going to bother your wife.
Nope.
Hold on.
Not quite. Obviously, the case still open, but I think I got all kinds of shit running. So far, so good anyway.
Hang on for a second.
Stuff changes colors, which is always fun.
I know. It's looking good.
Cooling with some liquid. I got one of those fancy new M2 drives hiding under there. That's what my operating system is like attached to the motherboard. Like it's like in a freaking SSD in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have to buy another one of these. Another one of these days.
Wonders will
Yeah, well, it's kind of cool. It's like it's got like onboard freaking SSD, like like you've heard about those M2 things.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like it came already on the motherboard?
Well, no, I had to buy it, but it's like this a special M2,
Yeah.
M.2
Yeah.
SSD. And so I just had to take this little protector cover thing off and throw it in under there. And supposedly it'll be nice and super duper fast.
Wow.
Yeah, my motherboard has one, but I just have a normal, whatever SATA.
Like it's got a slot, you mean?
Yeah, it's got the slot for the M2, but I'm just using a normal SATA SSD.
I wonder if my old one had that slot and I just didn't know about it.
It could, 'cause
But,
my motherboard's from like 2015 or something, and it had the slot, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, mine was from 2014, I think. But
Here I am, all jealous as a Mac guy, just looking at the parts that you can swap in and out of a PC.
Well, you can make a Hackintosh. It's just a pain in the ass.
It is a pain. in the
Yeah.
ass.
And
It is
then
a
you have
pain
to
in the
worry
ass.
about compatibility. And then the problem is like when you, like every time Apple issues a point update, you have to like jump through hoops and blah, 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 blah. It's not, I don't think
Well,
it's perfect.
I mean, in my opinion, like it kind of defeats the purpose of a Mac OS. Like that's the kind of great thing about a Mac OS is it runs so butter because it's designed for very specific hardware.
Yeah.
As soon as you do a Hackintosh, it's like, yeah, you can get OS X running, but it's not going to be butter like it is on a Mac. It's
No.
just not. But yeah, that's my business. So this is the oldest piece of hardware in there. Is that 1080
1080 Ti.
video card?
Nice. Well, welcome to,
Yeah, I don't know if it's a TI actually. I don't think it is.
Well, welcome to Craig's Budget Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to Craig. welcome to another episode of Craig's Terrible Idea. And Eric's giving us a tour of his see-through PC. It feels very very naughty looking at the inside.
Yeah, and the cat butts.
Yeah, right.
But
Hey,
yeah,
well-
Craig, I mean, I got a motherboard you could have. It's got RAM in it, and what else? Oh, and a CPU. It's all old, but it runs games just fine. The only problem is that video card, because this video card, which is what, 4 or 5 years old, you look online and it's $1,000.
I have an ancient, I have an old ass video card that I could actually give you, Craig. It's a GTX 670. I just don't know what's going to run on it. It's
Well,
got
he could probably run things like Left 4 Dead, and we could run Left 4 Dead. That would be fucking fun.
Yeah,
or
hold on,
I don't know, just
hold on.
older fun games.
Before I promise you that, hold on. Is that it? Yeah. So I have a GTX 670. It's generations behind, but it's got 4 gigs of VRAM. PCI 2. So you combine the 670 and Eric's parts, you would need, Eric, did you get a new case?
No, this is the only case I got.
So,
And
so
I
Craig-
also, I didn't replace the power supply. So
So-
those two things.
So, so a case and a power supply, you're looking at, I mean, you could do them for $150, $160. You don't want to skimp on the power supply for obvious reasons. You can skimp on the case. So you might be able to do it for less than that.
Well,
You
I
would
might,
need
I
a
might be
monitor,
quick, though.
keyboard.
Oh, I got
Mouse.
that.
Well, look,
Honor
I'm
keyboard,
not
no
throwing,
problem.
I'm not throwing this hardware away so quick. I'm gonna throw it in a drawer. So you let me know if you think you're gonna want it. Cause I don't see me doing anything else with it.
Yeah.
Again, that like, yeah, like, I mean, if Don's got that video card, that might be your best option until the prices get a little more
Pretty.
reasonable.
Very pretty.
Yep, I mean, it's EVGA, it's good shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think my last
got
one
it.
was E EVGA.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens, you know, like new Call of Duty Warzone update supposed to be coming out this week. They're gonna get rid, I think they're supposed to get rid of the Verdansk map. It's gonna be an entirely brand new map, which means everybody has to relearn it. Hopefully they will fix the patch of those, what is it, pistols akimbo, where it's like
Yeah, I
really
thought I was dying way too quick to people with pistols this time around.
both of us were dying
Yeah. Way too quick.
quickly. I mean, it's
Hold on, let me see. Minimum sister requirements for Warzone are
probably 8 gigs of RAM.
the minimum specification is that video card.
Is it?
Nice.
I mean, I would have
Yeah.
to turn everything off, shading off. I would have to turn Gaussian blur off. I would have to turn.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if people are playing Warzone competitively, they've got all that shit turned off anyway. Because what they want is frame rate.
right.
Yeah, they want FPS.
I mean, if you look,
And if
you
they're
look at a
cheaters,
lot-
they're doing all kinds of like what do they call it? The not opacity, the fucking contrasty
yeah,
type shit, right?
Right.
yeah, but also they've got like most eye candy gets turned down because they would rather have like 150 frames per second in the response time rather than everyone looks pretty and they're getting killed.
Well, isn't it also because, you know, you'll be able to see things in the background that normally you wouldn't, like you want to see, you want to be able to see shadows or something that, you know, doesn't stick to the horizon, to the,
Yeah,
to the
there
background.
was a. I remember reading something. I don't remember which game it was for a while ago, but it was another competitive one where someone figured out to turn off all of the grass so people couldn't hide behind the grass.
Yeah, it can't
What?
hide in the grass and things like volumetric fog and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It turned like other people would see the grass, but you wouldn't. So if there's someone camping behind the grass, yeah,
See right through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Invisible
Fucking-
grass.
fucking
I don't know.
cheaters.
Well, aside from that, I'd say the majority of the times that I was killed was basically got shot in the back, or I just basically crossed someone's path. They were just lying in wait, and I got zapped that way. So it's just
Well, but also a couple times we did. We like there was that one time we stumbled on there were like 3 teams and we ended up in the middle of them.
right.
And there was
Right.
another time where it was, I was trapped by the, like I had the zombie zone here and the gas here, and the only way through out was through 3 people, and that didn't end well.
Yeah, that did. But you know what? I'll be honest. You playing with you, Don, and playing with my clan members. So when I would play with my clan members, we were coming in like 26th, and it was 3 others. So we were playing quads. We came in pretty, you know, like low 25%. Like when you and I did it, we came in like 6th.
Yeah,
Going
but if you
through.
add Simon, we come in 3rd.
Yeah, it's sorry we come in 3rd, but you know, there's definitely a distinction in the playing styles. Like when you and I play, or Eric, you know, and Simon, when we play, you know, we're cautious. We don't go rushing in. We don't go looking for fights. Like these guys are looking for fights, and every time we do, I'm the first one that gets zapped. So yeah, seriously, I'm the first one that gets ganked. So
Well, it's racism, man. They go after the
not
Asian.
racism. It's just that, you know, I want to enjoy the game, but let's put it this way. When I played with them last, the first game I played with them, I think I got ganked within 1 minute. Like we ran into another team and I got ganked. Then I went into Gulag and I got ganked in like 6 seconds. And then I just sat there for the next 20 minutes watching these guys play. And I'm like saying to myself, this is why I don't play Warzone, because I'm just. But when I play with you guys, I actually have fun because we work together well as a team. We agree on a lot of things. The strategy is there. You know, we're not looking for a fight. We're just looking to survive and try and come in a high rank.
Did you ever play Ghost Recon Wildlands?
No, I did not.
No.
So the only reason I'm saying that is like enjoying the game. So the game itself it's okay. I mean, it's not great, but the map is amazing. It's huge. It's a really good map. So if you wanted something sort of similar in spirit to Warzone without dying every 3 seconds, Wildlands, and I can't remember what the one that came after it was, which wasn't as good, but like the maps are incredible, and they actually have multiplayer on them.
Yeah, but what's the max number of
Is
people
it-
that are on that map?
No, it's the I think I never did it, but I think the multiplayer is you in teams versus the AI. I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that game is mostly player versus environment, right?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
But
You know
like,
what? I'll tell you the truth. Like, I think I prefer that. Like,
me too.
I don't. Humans are too annoying to try to start figuring out how to defeat them. You know what I mean? It's just like, give me a fucking program which has like a limited amount of possibilities of what it could possibly do. Let me learn it and then have fun.
But
You know what I mean? Like,
but when the Civil War starts, you're gonna need all that Call of Duty training. You know?
no, no,
Oh, hold on.
it's not gonna fucking translate, man. It's not gonna translate. There's too many things you can do, like the little peek holes, little hidey holes. Like, I don't know. It's not the same in the real world.
Is it really?
It's not. It really is not.
Have you played paintball or airsoft?
Yes, a long time ago.
A
Yeah.
long time ago. Okay, so when you played paintball, how well did you do?
I think I did pretty good.
Yeah. What did you do? Did you
Yeah.
camp or did you camp or were you hunting?
I'm trying to remember. Like, we had a couple that were like objective based, and like I'm usually pretty decent at being sneaky. Not so much camping, but being sneaky. Like
I'm gonna
like
mute
going
Don. I
for
don't want to hear his. I'm gonna mute Don. I don't want to hear his.
All right.
conversation.
Like I don't know. Like I like working as a group, not to go and defeat, but to go and like, this is why I like Battlefield so much. Not that I played a recent one, but
Okay.
the reason I like Battlefield was like when people were working together, you were working towards objectives. You know what I mean? It wasn't about kills. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, sure, you're gonna get kills because you're going for objectives, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I like that kind of play more. I like a support type of character, which like I know they have like support gear and stuff in like Warzone or whatever, but I don't know. I like my classes to be a little more definitive. Like I like playing a healer. I like playing you know, a support, which has lots of frags or lots of explosives or lots of big guns that can keep firing. Like I like stuff like that.
Okay.
That's what I really
I don't
like about the Fallout 76. It's first of all, it's player versus environment,
Yeah.
but 76 is like, it is the best online community I have ever found. Like people are.
Yeah, I might wait. Is it free? I can't remember.
No, it's not
or
free.
you gotta buy it.
No, well, yeah, you got to buy it first. But first of all, it's on sale a lot.
Well, how much is it?
I don't know. Like, I don't know. I didn't buy it on sale. But the thing is, like, it's a great community. It's Fallout. We all love Fallout.
Okay.
Yeah.
And like when you're working as teams, you got to work as teams.
But mainly it's against the environment. Not
Oh, it's all against the environment. So they do try to do a PvP thing. They have Nuclear Winter, which is their, you know, Apex Warzone thing, but no one fucking plays it.
Right.
And they keep trying to make it happen, and the player base is always like, nah.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, Fallout is not really a traditional FPS. You know?
No. And,
No.
and
It'll never work that way.
well, I mean, I think that this was because, you know, Bethesda just got bought by Microsoft.
Right.
And this is like pulled out of my ass guess. I have no proof for this, but I think the former owners, who were like a hedge fund, I think basically said to Bethesda, you see Apex Legends, you see all that stuff, do that with Fallout. And so they sort of wedged it into 76. Because 76 basically developed from the multiplayer experimentation they were doing with Fallout 4.
Okay.
But like if you like play 76 and you play Nuclear Winter, like it doesn't quite, like it feels disjoint. And I think it's disjoint because if I had to guess, it was a management decision.
Press it 5 times.
Right.
To get it blinking.
But I have to say, like outside of that
And
crap,
then
like
hold and pull.
70, it's like I said, it's the thing. It's like player versus environment, and it's a great community. Seriously, I mean, the number
Yeah,
of-
I mean, like that's what I've been saying. It's like this is why I keep coming back to Left 4 Dead, and I don't know if either of you guys have heard about Back 4 Blood, which is the spiritual successor for Left 4 Dead. Like, so Turtle Rock Studios worked with Valve to make Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, and then they made a game called Evolve, which didn't do still
Yeah,
had it.
I remember that.
Like I think they were with Take-Two as their publisher for that one, and so there was some really funky business practices around like buying, like you had to buy certain monsters in order to play as them and stuff like that. This time they have partnered with Warner Brothers, and they're billing this as the Left 4 Dead, successor, the spiritual successor. And I mean, Warner Brothers has a little bit of a hit or miss in terms of whether they treat games properly or not. So we'll see. And there, so there may be elements of Back 4 Blood that are not great. I don't know. Like, I'm not like jumping out to pre-order it today because I don't trust Warner Brothers. But I go back, like I've been playing Left 4 Dead, on and off, just the same basic bullshit, not like ladders or anything like that. It doesn't have, I don't think it has anything like that, but it's just so enjoyable to me. Like, it's just 4 play, like, they also have the multiplayer, but 4 fucking players, just you against, special and common zombies and trying to make it to the end with like these huge set pieces. Like,
I think
it's just a ball.
I think I've played some Left 4 Dead, but only a little bit. So I didn't really get good at it or learn the maps or anything.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always loved. Like, again, I honestly, like, I like playing with people that are good, like, so I can play harder modes, but I also don't mind at all. And I know I've mentioned this before. I don't mind at all playing like on normal with people who have never run it before, like on a free weekend or something. Yeah. And just, kind of showing people how it works. Like, if you don't stay together, like, that game is so good about making you work as a team. You know what I mean? Like, if you go off on your own, you know what I mean? Like, you are going to die. You know what I mean? Unless you're like fucking remarkable. But I mean, you better be fucking remarkable, because the minute like one of those special zombies has you, you need your teammate to rescue you. And if you've gone too far away, you're fucked. Like, and so it just, like, the gameplay itself like fosters such a camaraderie, over that 40-minute, like game, and I don't know, I just love that. So I got a lot of hopes for Back 4 Blood, like, and I love like co-op gaming, like, again, a group of players against the game. That's my favorite experience.
Please tell me that the special zombies look like Ted Cruz. Please tell me that.
Well, there's a bunch. I mean, that's what's so great about Left 4 Dead, because there was another game that came out not that long ago, which was co-op against hordes of zombies. I can't remember what it was called, and I bought it, and it was fun. But the work that was done on Left 4 Dead, like there's the common zombies, which just look like zombies. And then there's a handful of different specials. There's like the stalker, which hops at you and pins you and goes. There's the boomer, which throws up on you, and when the bile goes on you, it attracts hordes of zombies to you.
Yeah, I remember the.
There's a spitter who spits on the ground, and if you stand in it, it's terrible. And then there's the smoker who shoots a long tongue and then drags you and chokes you. And like I've watched videos about this, talking about how like even just the silhouettes are immediately identifiable. You know what I mean? Like, and there's just something that they're, like and that quality is hard to replicate. Like where, again, you kind of go back down to archetypes of like enemies and archetypes of classes that you can play as, or roles. And I don't know, they did it so well in that. And again, co-op, that's my favorite thing. Like, that's why I got stuck playing those mythic dungeons in World of Warcraft so long. It's like you and 4 other people against, a dungeon, but at the harder difficulties, there's going to be tweaks to it. You know what I mean? Like some complication that they're going to add to it. But, and then it's just you and this group, which may have some variance to the last time you ran this dungeon. Might have been a slightly different makeup of a group, but you need a healer, you need a damage dealers, you need a tank. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Right.
But, and that's the dynamic, and just running through it, and everybody knows their roles and everybody works together and tries to defeat the game. That's the experience that I look for, when I play with other people.
You don't want to play against other human players.
Nah, I don't like
mono wits versus wits.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I've done that before. I've played Call of Duty for years. I played, Team Fortress for years. I played Counter-Strike for years. I've done that, but it's not my favorite type of game. It's just, I don't know. Because the funny thing is like, even, I mean, I guess like the goal could be being at the top of the leaderboards. I don't care about ladders and leaderboards. I want a challenge that's in front of me and I conquer it. I don't know. And then I go to bed. You know what I mean? Like,
and like the other thing for me that goes back to, like Craig said, like one of you said, enjoying the game and like enjoying the map. Like the problem with Warzone or like, or even Battlefield or the Call of Duty normal multiplayers is that in any one game, unless you're extraordinary, I mean, you're going to stay alive for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
You know,
so you don't really get to explore.
No, you and then, but I mean, you respawn immediately, but like, you're going to die, you're going to come back, and like that rhythm, I don't like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was the thing, like I said, about Ghost Recon Wildlands is like, the game was okay, but man, that map, or I'll go back to Far Cry. Like, I will give, Far Cry's got problems. My biggest problem with Far Cry is it doesn't have much replayability, but especially
it really does it.
The last two, man, those maps, man, those were amazing.
Yeah.
You could just, like,
they were pretty gorgeous.
around.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see.
Wait, are you the last two that you're counting? Are you saying 5 and New Dawn or 4 and 5?
5 and New Dawn.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like
which was kind of cool because New Dawn was the same map, but and yet totally different.
And like part of the fun I had in New Dawn was like figuring out where I was in 5.
And
I remember I did have like one holy shit moment where I realized they had submerged an entire part of the map from 5.
That big lake, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like if only those had more playability, man.
Yeah.
Replayability.
Well, we'll see what Call of Duty does with their new map.
Well, that's the other thing. I was actually curious, because I feel like I heard that Fallout 6 was announced or something. Like, isn't there one down the pipe? Like, and those have a lot of co-op. Like, you can everything you play single player, you can play co-op.
Oh, let's see. Let's take a look. Let's see what these guys say. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. Warzone new map. When is it? So that warning sign that we always see going over this weekend, it's basically their warning that we're gonna get nuked. Right? It's coming to an end, and then so now there are bunkers. Great.
I just got your text. I was like, of course.
All right, nukes executed. New Warzone. What's today's date? Today is the 18th. Yeah, so 3 more days, the 21st, 8 p.m. So they're gonna nuke this map, and obviously looks like at the outbreak, all right. Instead, zombies were confined to shipwreck and have made way to the prison. Throughout season 2, zombies have slowly been making their way through Verdansk, but only one location at a time. So they're going to nuke Verdansk. Obviously, the landscape is going to change, and then they're probably going to do a lot more underground shit. Oh wait, it's going to be completely.
So we get insta-killed in different locations.
Oh, we're going to be transported 40 years back to the 1980s. Hurrah! We got fucking little rubber bracelets. And,
we're all going to be wearing MC Hammer pants.
And fucking and the Cure t-shirts and
mullets.
blah, blah.
Mullets are
and
back.
Mullets.
Yeah, can I be goth? I'll be goth.
Goths never die. That's the thing about goths.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, sure, you go back to the Victorian era, there were goths.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think there totally was. But
Very
I don't know. Like goths will always be 80s goths to me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real goth.
They're always going to be. Who was the lead singer of the Cure?
Robert Smith.
Yeah, they're always going to be Robert Smith. Always, or Susie Sue.
I'm surprised that more TV shows and movies are not as focused in on Gen X as they should be, because now we're at that age where we have the most disposable income aside from the baby boomers. Baby boomers are basically using all that income because they got to prepare for their retirement. Actually, they are retired right now, so that's gone.
Not all of them. Some of them.
Not all of them, but now it's our turn. Like let me like, for example, like you guys have all watched Rogue One, right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
You've never watched Rogue One?
I have not seen.
It was the just to give you a context, it's the best of the Star Wars movies, I think.
Second to Empire Strikes Back.
Well, all right. I mean, since the initial trilogy, it's the best of the best of the rest.
My stance on Star Wars. I love them when I was 11 years old, but they're kids' movies.
Well, now here's the interesting part.
Here we go, Eric. We're gone.
But Rogue One actually was much less of a kids' movie.
No.
It actually was.
And here's the reason.
It wasn't so much cutesy characters. There was no Jar Jar equivalent.
Right.
It had some jokes, like, if I remember right, but I haven't watched it that many times. But it was a movie that took place in part of the timeline that we already knew the result of. So it ended fairly tragically if you didn't know anything else. You know what I mean? Like, because none of those characters were intended to be continued.
Right.
Okay, that's
So they actually
Right.
told a complete story.
Oh
which
wait,
kinda cool.
was that the one that was about that the people who stole the Death Star plans?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
right. So
I
it was
remember-
the right, which was
I
the
rem-
plans that they were dealing
Yeah.
with in the
Right.
first in Star Wars Episode 4, the initial movie.
I remember reading about it when it came out. Yeah, yeah.
And the whole context of it, if you looked at all the characters, they didn't focus in on young people, like kids in their 20s or teenage years.
Yeah.
They focused in on people in the late 30s, early 40s, even early 50s. And I think that was done on purpose because it was basically aimed towards people like our age, people like us, so we can relate to the characters even better, right? That's
Yeah,
the way
I
look
think
at it.
that's true. Like, I mean, again, like it seems like the path that they've taken with every Star Wars movie is try to ensnare the children. Because, like Lucas said it, you know, I mean, we can deny it all we want, but Star Wars, like, yeah, it was meant for children. But but Rogue One, to your point, I think you're right. I think it wasn't so much geared towards the kid. There was no jokey character. There was, you know, there wasn't.
Well, there's K2SO.
I mean, yeah. All right, so I don't remember the robot.
Yeah,
Is that
it's
what you're talking
the
about?
Imperial
Yeah, he was
robot.
kind of funny, but I mean, he was comic relief, but not like Jar Jar Binks comic relief. You know what I mean? He wasn't
Yeah.
like Ewoks. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it was a different flavor. It had a more serious story to tell. Like, and again, I'm not talking
Right.
about literature. It's not like, you know,
Right.
like high art, but you know, for a Star Wars movie, it was pretty damn good. And yeah, I think geared more towards Gen X.
Right. And other movies like Shaun of the Dead or any of the other
God, I love Shaun of the
Simon
Dead.
or
Yeah,
any
that's
of
a
the
good
other Simon Pegg
Yeah.
movies, right? They're geared towards the older crowd, like, you know, late 30s, early 40s, so on and so forth. And I think we should start seeing more of that because now, coming demographically wise, we're going to be the new large demographic, right?
All right,
Yeah,
I'm gonna
40s and
I'm
50s.
gonna throw a little monkey
Yeah.
wrench into this
I
though.
know what you're
I
gonna say,
think
too.
that Gen X is going to be a little closer. We'll be able to identify more as we get older to the silent generation. I think we're kind of a little bit of an in-between generation. We're like a little bit of a transitionary generation.
Well,
I don't know how much we're going to see capitalism cater to
Well,
us.
we're
I
called
don't know.
the sandwich generation because basically we're taking care of our kids and we're taking care of the older generation at the same time with very little, you know, time for us. I mean, I don't have kids. I know Eric has kids, but we all are taking care of our parents in one way or another. Like I still have to take care of my mom. Right?
Not yet.
Right, but I mean, but that's not necessarily different than other generations.
Yeah.
Well, I
Every
don't know.
generation has parents.
The
and they
boomer
get
ge-
old.
well, the boomer generation didn't have to worry about their parents, about the greatest generation, because the greatest generation basically took care of their
No, that's
No, my parents took care of my grandpa.
Yeah.
I took care of my grandma, but my parents took care of my grandpa.
And my mom's mom had Alzheimer's for years towards the end, so my mom had to do all sorts of shit with her.
All right.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit that my parents dealt with my grandpa. He had like dementia.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
my
like-
problem with my grandmother is physically she was like just strong, so she lasted forever with Alzheimer's. Like her body just wouldn't quit. Even though
Yeah, my grandpa was a little different. He had dementia, which seemed to be because of Parkinson's. So his
Right.
body wasn't really doing shit either.
Right.
So you know, towards the end, like I mean, he ended up in a chair. I mean, the cool thing about the dementia he had versus what happens a lot with Alzheimer's is he always knew us. You
Oh,
know what I
that's
mean? He
good.
couldn't really talk to
That's
us,
good.
but we always got a smile when he
That's
came
good.
in. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that relationship always stood. But once his body got to that level, he wasn't around for that much longer.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Yeah.
so Craig, I'm gonna disagree with you slightly.
Go ahead.
I think the thing isn't that movies don't cater to Gen X or whatever. I think is the thing that Hollywood is always about making money, and every once in a while, accidentally, they make some art. But like, what did Hollywood like? So this is my example. So my friend Sue, like years ago, we went out to visit her mom in California, and her mom had a book that was like this thick, and it was every movie that Fox Studios made from the time they were founded up until like 1960. It was like one of those really big coffee table books.
Mhm.
And I leafed through it. 95% of the movies in there, like some shitty B or C gangster movie, some shitty Western, blah, blah, some crappy third-rate romantic comedy. Is like Hollywood has always turned out tons of shit
Mhm.
Schlock.
designed to just distract people. And then every once in a while, you get a year like 1999 where you had The Matrix, where you had American Beauty, where you had The Sixth Sense. But like most of what Hollywood gives us is shit.
I
And
think.
that's the way it's always has been.
Well, I think.
George Lucas is part of that.
He is. I admit it. I mean, the last trilogy freaking sucked balls. I mean, like I can't stand fucking episodes 1, 2, 3. I thought they were all horrible. But but let's put it this way: like past few years, movies that have been up for critical acclaim. Like this year, it's Nomadland,
Which I want to see.
Oh, if you have Hulu, it's on there. It's fucking.
But Nomadland is, as far as I know, is India. It's not Hollywood.
It's India, but it's up for like 4 or 5 Oscars.
Yeah.
I mean, like
but my point is,
but that's often a passion project. It's a different motivation for that money.
Exactly. Like if you like, what is Hollywood doing right now? Every fucking retread superhero movie they can think of. Why? Because people will go to them, turn off their brain, and watch special effects. And there's another. I read this. I don't have a source for it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the reasons that Hollywood loves superhero movies so much is that the plots are so simple. They can show them in places like China, India, etc., like where people don't really speak English that well, and the movies are so simple, people can still follow along.
It is funny. So me and my wife have been watching a lot of older movies, like classic movies, like Bogey and all these guys. And it is interesting, like, because if you watch old movies, the bits of action that they have, like it's almost laughable, like because they're just not good at it. The way that, like we have tricks that we've learned over the years.
All right.
And since they didn't have those tricks, they had to find other ways to tell their stories, and they did it with dialogue and story. You know what I mean? Like, and whereas like the movies now, like, I mean, I think that special effects can be a great thing, but I mean, they can really create whatever it is that you want to see, but it can also be a crutch, where you're no longer getting good storytelling. You're sacrificing it to just making good imagery. It's like with video games. Like you like the way they used to design video games. And this may still be true in some houses, I don't know, but you would have like the video game, guys making the game itself would be like, okay, we want a level that's in the sewers, we want a level that's here, and then we want a level that's there, and then they come in later and just like, okay, how do we end up in the sewers? And they come up with the story, the cutscene that gets you there. You know what I mean? Like, but the story was nonsense. And movies obviously aren't that bad, but I don't know, they're close. You know what I mean? It's just like, all right, how do we get to the next set piece?
Well, it depends on the movie. Like, there is a template for making a movie, and it's literally, I've read about it, I can't remember the source, but there's a book out there. It'll literally say, 15 minutes into your script, this has to happen. Half an hour into your script. And, if all you're making is like, Need for Speed 24,
right, which they are. Yeah,
I know,
literally.
Yeah, you're just gonna use that 3-act structure, and what everything looks worse at the end of Act 2.
Yeah.
Like all of these things that
I
they
saw
tried
Vin
and true.
Diesel almost get run over in a city bike biking the wrong way up Bleecker Street, but that's another story. But but my list of adult movies is really small. Like one of my favorite movies ever, a matter of fact, Bull Durham.
Okay.
It's been a while since I saw that.
Yeah.
I went to see Bull Durham with my best friend when we were 18. We were seniors in high school. And we walked out because it was an adult movie. And we were two 18-year-old kids who didn't get it.
Yeah.
Now, like if there was a network or if there was a channel that all it showed was Bull Durham on a loop, I would watch it.
Yeah. Oh,
wait, so was that also Kevin Costner?
That is like one of the 2 or 3 roles that Kevin Costner did where he was really good. Yeah. Kevin Costner.
And that was a baseball movie, right?
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not really about baseball. It's about growing older and realizing that your life is what it is, and all of the dreams you had when you were younger, you're not going to experience them, but it's okay. Like it's
okay.
Really,
I think I'm realizing I've never actually seen the movie as an adult.
I
just find it funny that like shit. I forget what it was. There was like a trivia thing that came up recently, and they said like, Kevin Costner baseball movie, and someone said Bull Durham, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Field of Dreams. Like that's
Field of Dreams.
Like it's so funny that he did 2 huge and I understand what you're saying, that it's not really a baseball movie, but really. He did 2 huge baseball movies. Like that's kind of interesting.
Well, Kevin Costner's a type, and he plays in that type really well. Now, I mean, the exception to the Kevin Costner rule,
Waterworld.
No, Dances with Wolves.
Oh, okay.
which was amazing. But I think that was his passion project.
And
I
Waterworld wasn't?
No.
Yeah, I think that was his passion project too, but it didn't work out.
No. But Dances with Wolves is an amazing movie, and he did an incredible job. I don't know if he wrote it and directed, but he was amazing at it. But like anyway, like the number of adult movies, like Hollywood, like really adult movies, Hollywood releases. Now, indie movies can be better, but I think indie.
I agree with you. Like, they put out the bells and whistles, they generate, the hundreds of millions of dollars for. But we're talking about, really good movies, and they'll pick up after the Academy Awards are done. Like last year it was Parasite, right? Which
but that wasn't Hollywood. That was out of Korea.
No, that was Korea.
That was out of Korea.
But then again, look at the age of the audience. That it's more mature. It's not really like it's not like they're doing Hunger Games or doing what the hell else? Some other. Like Percy Jackson.
YA makes the bucks, man.
Yeah, it does, So does Harry Potter. But then it got darker. Like if you've read the books, if you've read the books, towards the end, I mean, it got dark. It was like adult themed dark.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, all right, not to give J.K. Rowling any credit because she's fucking turf, but yeah, what? She's a turf.
Dude, we can say that.
I can't say she's a turf. She's a turf
figure. We're not going to get in trouble for saying that.
She's a public figure that's she's trans exclusionary and a feminist. Turf. Like, I mean, a radical, whatever.
Right.
I'm not going to get in trouble.
She's a Brit bonger. You can call almost all Brit bongers turfs.
I'm not saying you can't call her a turf. I'm saying give the woman some credit,
Oh, well, yeah. All right. Well, this was what I was about to do. But like, so that is the interesting thing that I remember her saying was like, it's like, well, Harry started what? How old was he? 7, 8, 9? I don't know. By the end, it's 7 years later, right? So he's older. The kid. Well, every year is a new year. Every book is a new year. Right. So it's 7 books. So it's 7 years later. They came out over the course of at least 7 years, right? So her initial audience went from her initial intended audience, if they had read from the beginning, got a lot older. Meanwhile, so the story aged up with them. I was an adult when I read the first ones, like, I mean, because that's when it came out, but so I didn't age up with it. But yeah, like, I mean, you can see it. The content grew up as you go through the books. Yeah, and some of those are dark.
I've never read them. I just like the only fantasy I've ever been able to read was Tolkien, and I think maybe that's because I was 13 when I read it.
Really, you didn't read?
Like, how Harry got me like immediately when in the first book when it opened. Well. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know how to judge that shit. But the first one, it reminded me so much like of old Ray Bradbury stories. Like in the way that like a lot of old like Ray Bradbury short stories used to be, like whether they were for Twilight Zone or actual like just short stories he had written. They were like, it was just a world you recognize just as normal with one tweak. You know what I mean? Like this one thing was different. And then you would follow this character and explore the ways that this one change made everything different. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the way that the beginning of the first Harry Potter felt to me, like where you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know that there was a whole wizarding world and all that stuff, but it was an important day for them. And so there was weird people in robes doing things, and you're watching Uncle Dursley, who's the least magical, I think that's his name, character in the entire series. Like, like in his reaction to seeing these things. And it just felt very Bradbury-esque to me. And I always loved Ray Bradbury, and like just a nice, simple way with one tweak that changes everything. And I don't know. So yeah, I was hooked as soon as I read the beginning of that book. And I still like him, but you got to separate that art from that artist, because that artist is a piece of shit.
All right, guys. So Bradbury is my favorite classic sci-fi writer, by the way. Anyway, my friend just texted, I got to roll. But I will see you again soon.
All right. Take care, man.
All right.
We'll catch you
later, brother.
Later, brother. And then
are we continuing on, or are we wrapping up?
So I was gonna we could wrap up if you want, but what the funny part was? Zoom gave us a gift. We can continue past the 40 minutes. I don't know if you want to.
All right. Yeah, we can keep talking if you got something to talk about. What we got to talk about?
I wanted to get into politics, but now we've lost our what you call fact checker.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I did have something like, so who's that 13-year-old kid that got shot here recently?
Let me look that up.
I can't remember his name, Amori or something, I thought.
No. Let's look him up. Hold on. 13-year-old kid shot by cops. And that's the other thing too, man. Like what's his kid's? His name was Adam Toledo from
Yeah, there's the
Chicago,
one.
right?
Wait, the Chicago? I thought this is
Chicago.
That's the kid? Oh, okay.
So it's the one with the body cam where the cop says, "Drop your weapon." The kid had nothing in his hands. His hands were up, and the guy not even a second after he says, "Drop your weapon," shoots him straight in the chest. Yeah, Adam Toledo.
So I'll be honest, I haven't been following the shit that close.
All right.
But I was talking with a friend of mine last night.
Yeah.
And she works for NYPD. So she'll remain unnamed, and I can't confirm what she told me. All I can do is tell you what she told me. And they looked at all the footage, like the partner body cam, like all the camera footage that was around. And like her thing is like she felt that like the news kept showing a lot of slow motion, you know, where the kid is turning around and he's kind of doing this,
yeah,
you know, and then he gets shot. And what she was saying was like a big part of the footage that she saw that you're not seeing on the news for whatever reason is the kids, you know, it's the kid and like a 21-year-old friend. 21-year-old friend hands the kid the gun and tells him to run. So the 13-year-old kid runs with the gun. He's running with it. Cops see him running with it. Right before he gets shot, he tosses it, right? But the cop, more likely than not, didn't see that. And, you know, and I think he yells, "Stop, free," you know, turn around or whatever. And the kid does, but the kid is still assumed to have a gun in his hand. And it happens very quickly. The guy turns, the cop shoots him, the kid, and, you know, and according to her, immediately runs up and starts, you know, giving, you know, aid.
Okay.
So like, I don't know, her point was like, and I agree with her that this does happen, was that like, you know, when you're in those moments, it's not always racism. It's not always, you know, an overuse of force. Right. I mean, even though he was 13, they didn't know that, but they did know he was armed. At least 15 seconds ago, he was armed.
All right.
It's just rough shit, man.
It is rough shit, but
and the thing is that then, you know, and then when you have BLM, like, you know, again, like when people try to paint these people as angels, you know, and I know like that's to counter the, you know, like, he wasn't an angel, he was no angel argument. And I understand that that's a bad thing, but you can't paint people as angels because people aren't angels. You know what I mean? You shouldn't paint them as devils either, but you can't paint them as angels, especially when, I mean, the behavior this kid was presenting, you know, I mean, it's not entirely unreasonable to expect force to be applied.
Right.
It's just like, again, and like, this is just another one of those situations. It's like hard to find our way through this kind of shit, you know, and find some kind of equilibrium there.
Right. And that other incident in Minnesota where the cop said she thought she pulled her taser, but she pulled her gun and she fired anyway. So
yeah, I mean, and that's another one. If you listen to her, what she says immediately after, she said like, "Oh my God, like I don't know."
Someone. No, she said I shot someone. But
yeah,
here's the thing, right? So, you know, I'm not a cop, right? But I understand that there are training regimens that you have to go through, right? Like there are courses that you have to take. I'm not trying to say it was the cop's fault. I mean, he made a split decision and he did what he did. And is what he did wrong? You know, obviously a 13-year-old kid got shot, and you see him with with nothing in his hand when he raised him, but the cop doesn't know that. He thinks the kid could turn around at any moment and start firing at him. But you know, there are certain things that run through your head. Like, if I'm running after somebody and I tell someone to stop, and I say turn around slowly, put your hands in the air, and if he turns around quickly and he looks like he's raising his hands, yeah, you know, at that moment you're gonna make whatever decision you're gonna make because you think your life is on the line. But were they shooting at me? I mean, there were a lot of things that were going on at the time. For the one in Minnesota, where the woman cop pulled her gun instead of her taser. So if you look at cops' belts, and I don't know if you do, but I notice how they arrange their equipment around. Whatever their dominant hand side is, that's where their gun is going to be. The taser is usually on the opposite side, right? So if I'm right-handed,
no, but I guess so. So her unthinking reaction is still going to be to reach for that dominant side weapon. and that could even still happen
Right.
unintentionally.
If you go into the mindset that it's my life or his, okay, if you're pulling somebody over for a stop, yes, there is precaution. You're gonna have your hand on your gun, right, and you're gonna have your other hand free, and again, there's that split level decision. And I understand she went for her gun and she shot. It was, a knee jerk reaction. But if you've had proper training, and she was a vet, she was like a 23-year vet or something like that. You should know where your primary firearm is and where your taser is. And if you're going up there with the intentions of not shooting anybody, just trying to check somebody out, and if he jerkily runs away because you were going to go for you should go. Your hand should immediately go for your taser. If it looked like your life was threatening, every time I've been pulled over, every time a cop has pulled me over, anytime a cop has questioned me, I've always seen, in the beginning, their hands are up and their hands are nowhere near their firearm. But when they think that they're in trouble, like, they came up to me, like, the cop always had his dominant side hand on his gun, put his left hand on the car and started, please turn off the engine, put your hands on the wheel, come out. They never, they were ready for it because they thought they were going to get into a shootout. Okay. This wasn't one of those times, and I've never given them the opportunity to shoot me.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're going to go up there with the intentions of, is this guy going to be a flight risk? Is he going to take out a gun? And it depends on the situation. If you're answering a call for a disturbance, fine. There may not have to be use of violence. But if you're going there, there's a shootout. Yeah, obviously I'm going to be hyper alert and I'm going to be ready to pull my primary firearm. But this wasn't that case. They just pulled some dude over, and if you were going to tase him, you knew exactly which side your taser was on.
Yeah,
but,
I hear you. Yeah.
Right. But then again, we're in that situation. We
I
don't
mean,
know.
so like I have a friend who he's not a cop anymore, but he was in the military and then he was a cop in a couple different places.
Right.
And one of the jobs he did was serving warrants, to bring people in.
Right.
And that was his argument, was that it's all about training. And I don't think that's everything, but I mean, that is a part of it. I think there's more to it than that. But his argument is like, all right, so when I was on that warrant crew, I would go up and the amount of flight that he saw was considerably reduced compared to, and he just talked about one other guy on the warrant, whatever crew, who like almost every single person attempted to flee from this guy. You know what I mean? Like, and my friend's argument is like, it had to do with like, I was trained. I knew I was competent. I was going to come in and I was going to talk to them like human beings and I was going to be calm. You know what I mean? And I was, basically my message was like, okay, you say this isn't right, blah, blah, blah. Come in with me and we'll work it out. You know what I mean? Like, don't flee. It's not going to work. And his argument is that, yeah, it was his training so he could maintain his composure.
Right.
And, and people responded to that and people didn't get hurt and he got the result he needed.
Right.
Whereas the other guy did not.
Right.
And I would say that, yeah, that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I mean, like, again, you're still seeing more shootings against, you're going to see a higher police response against Black people. Like, and it doesn't matter how much bias training you do. I mean, first of all, like the argument is the bias training, cops claim the bias training doesn't work. And I think they might be right.
Right.
But, like, it's almost like we have to, like, I mean, like if you send good guys to become cops and they're constantly going to the poor areas, which are typically predominantly Black. And so they're, again, they're poor. So there's more crime. Mm-hmm. And so over years, you get beaten down by the idea. It's like, well, every time somebody pulls a gun, it's a fucking Black guy. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, to be honest, I've had that experience in my own life. Like, I mean, I haven't been mugged in years, but when I did get mugged, I was always mugged by Black guys. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just the numbers because they're more likely to be fucking poor. And so they're more likely to be desperate and take desperate action and hurt me. Right. And the cop feels the same way.
Right.
So how the fuck do you get past that goddamn hurdle? You know what I mean? Like, because if the cops are experiencing that and the people are, I mean, how do you fix that hurdle? I guess by making Black people less poor. But how the fuck do you do that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just very frustrating.
It's not even just, but it's not only economic disparity, but it's also how you were brought up. Remember, a lot of the new generation, these kids were brought up where, I gotta have the cash and the ducats. I gotta have, I gotta have this. I gotta have that.
Well, I mean, all right.
They grew up
So like
materialistic,
that's
right?
like you would, all right. But I like, so if you're going to argue with a right winger, right, and you give them two options, it's like, okay, either there's something genetically different about them
Right.
and they're incapable of living in our society without being animals,
Mhm.
or it's their culture, right? And they're always like, oh, yeah, I'm not a racist. So it's their culture. It's like, okay,
Right.
but how did their culture form? You know what I mean? Their culture formed by living basically at survival level the whole time they've been here in America. You know what I mean? Like where they're making decisions based on survival. Like we don't do that. We don't have to do that. We don't have to worry about survival. We're surviving just fine. So we get to worry about what's after survival. How do we live? You know what I mean? Like, whereas if you're living that desperate, that down by law for that many generations, your culture is going to be what you see. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, yeah, like, yes, like that is, I don't disagree
Right.
that their culture isn't too great. There's a lot of harm that comes from what their culture is right now. But
Right.
how the fuck do you fix it?
So
You know what I mean? Like
you have
it
to-
is
so-
the way it is because of white supremacy. How do you repair
So-
what white
so-
supremacy
so-
did to it?
What do you do to fix a problem? What's the very first thing you got to do when you fix a problem? You got to understand that there is a problem, right?
Sure.
Yeah, and the other one is the wherewithal for you to solve said problem, right? And then
Mm.
yes, I am in a better spot than a lot of other people out there, right? And I can't say, well, you're not in my shoes. You don't know how hard it is for me to get up to the next level. Yeah, you're right. I don't know how hard it is for you to get up to the next level. But it's not saying that, how do we do that? Well, for me, right, when I was growing up, we were the only Asian family in the 70s that was basically in fucking Rego Park. Like me, maybe four other Asian families went to school. I mean, mainly it was all Jewish kids. It was white and Jewish kids. Maybe a smattering of black kids here, and then it was just me. It was like me and four other Asians. And I was always picked last. No one wanted to be friends with me. I got picked on because I was different. Economically, we were fine. My mom and dad had the wherewithal to raise me and my brother, with very little wants. But still, going up that social ladder, trying to be accepted, trying to climb up that hierarchy. Yeah, I had the thumb pressed down on me too, and like, yeah, I got bitter over it. But for me personally, I just basically said, fuck all of you. I'm gonna do better than any of you assholes, right? And climb up that ladder whether I like it or not. And I did, And for all these other people out there, right? I mean, what has worked for you, dude? That's the other thing too. What has worked for you is basically doing your street level thing or doing whatever it takes to survive, working out for you. Then great, you're not going to want to change that. That's what you want to do, right? You don't think you need to change. You just think that everybody else is against you, trying to make your ducat, right?
But again, I think this problem has two different things you need to like approach with. Like, so if you're talking about like, it's like, okay, I have that dude in front of me. I'm gonna tell him one thing, which is like, yeah, pick yourself up. I know you got adversity. You got to find your way around it.
Right.
And that's just life.
Right.
But when you're talking about society, in groups,
right,
you got to talk about it a little different. It's like, okay, how can we make the obstacles that all of these individuals are facing, how can we make less of them? You know what I mean? How like, so yeah, you're absolutely right. Like whatever the fucking obstacles of your life are, you just got to fucking surmount them. That's just life. That's literally all life is.
Right.
But when we're thinking about molding our society into something better, we don't think about like, well, no, that's what every single motherfucker needs to do is just pick their goddamn selves up by their bootstraps, which is impossible. But we got to talk about how do we make it more possible.
So
you know what I mean? Like, so
them,
yeah, like you're not wrong. Like you still, like if I have that guy in front of me, that's what I'm going to tell him. Right. You got to figure it out. And I'll do what I can to help you figure it out.
And I will help you.
Right.
I will help you.
But when we're talking about the group, we got to try to figure out, it's like, okay, but how do we literally level the playing field as much as we can? Like, how do we, like just same, bring it back to your situation. Right. How do we make it that an Asian kid or any kid that happens to be the smaller demographic wherever he happens to be or she.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, let's take a perfect example right now would probably be a trans person anywhere in the world. You know what I mean? They are a vast minority, no matter where they are. You know what I mean? Like, so how do we make it that person, that alone person, or that small group person surrounded by a majority? How do we make that an easier life for whoever it is?
Well, you have to start again to realize a problem. You have to address the problem, which is being addressed right now, right? With trans rights, like all these states that are basically saying, well, you're a trans athlete, you don't get to compete in the in the gender sport that you want to be assigned in. You're going to be competing whenever you were biologically born in. And I don't know, I mean, like, that's, for me, it's just, listen, if you identify as a girl and you haven't gone through that pure transition yet, do you get to compete with other girls? I mean, you're still a guy, right?
Well, all right. So no, if you had like, I don't know what the stats are, but the reality is I think most trans people haven't actually done the surgery, like
Right.
the bottom surgery.
Right.
That's much rarer than you would think.
Okay.
But if you're you're born male and living your life as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
even if you haven't had the bottom surgery, the dick doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't
Right.
make you a man.
Right.
What does kind of more make you a man is testosterone.
Yes.
So long as you're, in my opinion, and I'll be honest, I don't care that much about the sports thing. I really don't. I think it's stupid for government to be talking about it at all.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
we are, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. But in my opinion, from what experts that I've heard talk about, and again, I'm no expert on anything. I take the experts that I've heard and I try to come up with an opinion, right?
Yeah.
From what I've heard is so long as they are on the correct hormone, they have what they consider their incorrect hormone suppressed, and they're on the correct hormone for a sufficient amount of time. And I think that's like 2 years or something like that, or I can't remember how long you're supposed to be on it.
Right.
The body changes enough to be more in line with their target gender
Okay.
than their previous one.
So,
like in most cases, you're not going to necessarily find, the trans person absolutely dominating the sport. Now, there's been examples of it, like in MMA. I think there was a particular
Gabby. Let me look that up, man.
right. Like, so I mean, there's certain things that happen, where if you live through the male puberty, certain things are going to happen to your frame. Your body is going to be different than a woman's typically would be, and you're going to have advantages. But so what I say to the right wing on that one is like, well, then you shouldn't be against puberty blockers, because trans people are a thing and they're going to continue to be a thing. You shouldn't be against puberty blockers. Let people decide earlier and not have to go through the wrong puberty in their mind, and then you won't have this problem.
Right. The fighter's name was Fallon Fox, and Joe Rogan was basically saying,
oh yeah, he's been on that one for years.
Yeah, and he caught a lot of flack for it. He caught a lot of shit, people calling him anti-trans. Well, you know what? The guy was speaking his mind, right? It's not that he's holding a sign that says I'm against all transgender activity.
Well, I mean, that's true, but the problem is that he only talks about the negative parts of transness. And so his audience is already predisposed to be negative towards transness. And so when he's only presenting the dark side of that argument, and there are dark sides to this, like, again, like there's perfect examples of why it feels unreasonable for trans people to be in the opposite sexes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, so for a trans woman to be in women's sports, there are obvious reasons why that seems like a bad idea.
Right.
And so when you're just dishing that out to people that are receptive to wanting someone to hate, you know what I mean? Like, what's going to be the end result of that? You're going to get, you're going to continue to drive more antagonism against trans people. That's the end result. So regardless of what Joe wanted, that's the result of what when he talks about these issues, that's the result, is basically anti-trans sentiment. So I don't know. That's why, it's frustrating to talk about the sports thing, because I don't care that much about sports. And
so I think what needs to happen is there need to be little victories. Like, let's push the sports thing aside, because the sports thing is very contentious. But let's put it this way: Rachel Levine, who was the first trans assistant health secretary to be, cabinet level. And Biden obviously Biden wanted her to be there. I think that is a majority win for trans people, right? Because we shouldn't look at them as just trans people. They are people,
Right.
and I don't care, what your sexual orientation is. I don't care if you were a man or a woman before. I don't care the color of your skin. If you are an effective bureaucrat, yeah, you should be there, regardless of the fact.
Right. Like, I mean, I think there's two parts of that right now. It's like, finding effective people that are from various backgrounds so that people from those groups can have representation and feel included. And again, once you have a Black president, then it's like, Black people can start thinking a little differently about themselves. Exactly. And these things are possible now.
So that's the way that I think we can look at it. If you want, it's basically normalizing it, like the way that Republicans like to normalize being a Nazi, or they like to normalize being a racist or a misogynist, or or starting the Anglo-Saxon party.
Right, or going the other way, where it was like it probably started in the 90s and then continued into the aughts, like where there was a lot more gay representation on television. Right. And, now society kind of seems to accept gay people a lot more,
Or they're not as critical or harsh about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that trend, that's a positive trend, so that if we want to try to include, we just include them as just people. We don't special them out. We don't like shine a spotlight on them. Oh, here's our trans actor who will now be appearing in this series. Just introduce them as a normal character. And if they introduce, that part of life into the show, then, there's the reveal. But you know what? This character's been, like a normal part, a normal character part of the TV show. And then, hey, we accept it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing. Like, I feel like the goal is to have people of all walks of life as just being a character in the show.
Exactly.
And the fact that they're trans or gay or whatever they are, isn't really an integral part of their character. It's just part of who that character is. And if it never comes up, it never comes up, and that's great. But of course, right now we're more in a transition time where we're trying to force it a little bit, and so sometimes it feels heavy-handed and it feels hokey, and that's what the right wing rebels against.
Right. It's also a little SJW-ish, right? It's just, I understand this PC culture, and this is, I know you might not agree with me, and I know Don definitely will not agree with me, but vulgar humor kept among ourselves, right? We're not spreading it out there. It's vulgar humor. That's what it is. I mean, like, I say stupid shit. I say vulgar shit sometimes. It may or may not piss off people, right? Do I do it because I didn't want to disparage them? I mean,
well, I mean, I'll say what you're about to, like, basically what I feel like you're aiming towards is something that that Zizek guy talked about, which was like the only reason that racist humor is bad is really because of the power dynamics involved. So like if white and Black people were on the same level in our society, like if white people didn't have it over Black people clearly, then making jokes about Black people wouldn't be that bad.
Right.
I mean, Black people make jokes about white people all the time.
Right.
And you know what? It's fine because of the power dynamics.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so if we were all kind of at the same level, like the reality is we're all different. We have differences. A lot of them are funny. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of, the preconceptions about the races are true.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, but like the only reason these jokes feel so dirty and bad is because of the power dynamic. You know what I mean? Like if we were on the same power, like the same levels, then according to Zizek, like him and his fellow Eastern European, different groups that were and are so racist and told so many like great racist jokes about each other and hated each other for millennia, but then they kind of found themselves, I think it was under the Soviet Union, found themselves on the same level playing field. They were on work sites and said those same jokes, but they said it with camaraderie and they all laughed together and it was all a good time. And you see that with working class people in our country too. Like, I mean, because they're the last ones telling all these jokes. It's like, they fuck with the Black guy, they fuck with the Irish guy, they fuck with the Italian guy for being Irish, Black, and Italian.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and they're all in the same, they're all firemen together or whatever the fuck they are. And it's fine and it works.
Well, as long as you're punching down or everybody.
Right, because you're punching together. You know what I mean? You're not punching down. Nobody's punching down. Like the idea is like if nobody's punching down, then it's fine. Then nobody gets hurt any more than anybody else, and it's all in good fun. And you learn who each other are, and you're able to have a good time, and that's that.
Right.
And I would love to get our society to that point.
I catch a lot of flack from my relatives and other friends.
Sure.
Oh, how could you say that? Blah blah blah. It's like, dude,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
it's just a fucking joke, But if you're gonna be sensitive about it, that's cool.
You guys
I
bleeped me
won't-
like 2 weeks ago for saying some shit.
I
like
had to bleep you because that was pretty dark.
Was it?
Because
Every nation has its darkies. I'm sorry. They
I'm gonna
just
have
do.
to bleep that.
It's,
I'm gonna have
no,
to bleep that
no,
out
no.
too,
You know what?
because
I'm gonna
what?
explain it, and then you won't have to. Like, because
Go ahead.
that's the thing. Is like you're going to always have China would have had it with what was it? The Han, like what's the dominant?
Okay, so
people?
it was the Han Dynasty, the original.
We don't need to get into it, but so there were others,
There were
right?
others.
So the
Mongols,
others,
yeah,
others would
the
have been
others.
their darkies.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's the same thing, like where Japan
Not-
considered all other or Asian people, they were what they would be considered white, just meaning that they were the clean
pure
ones,
race,
the pure.
They're pure.
Yeah,
race, right?
That's the way the Japanese thought of themselves, right?
Right.
So anybody that wasn't pure race was darker. That's all I meant by it.
Is
You
that
know what I mean? And
what
that's
you're saying?
that's
darker?
that's what I'm saying. Like, and honestly, like, I think even if we get post-racial, if we're still in a capitalistic world, we're
Mm.
still going to have white and not white, and it's just going to have to do with economics.
I
You know what I mean?
guess.
It won't have. You could still have that same dynamic post-racially, if you're not careful.
Oh, you know what? I'll leave it in. And we'll see what.
Leave it in,
what people-
and
I'll
and
leave
we'll
it in.
see. We'll
I'll
see what
leave
the
it in
world thinks when the
and see
world
what the
decides
world
to
thinks.
look.
See if anybody decides to listen to this.
I'm saying,
Yeah.
again, it's not like that's that. But to your point earlier, like, if you understand what I'm trying to say there, it's not racist. It's not trying to denigrate anybody. It's trying to talk about the dynamic that does exist across the planet.
Let's say subhuman. All
Well,
right?
none of us is subhuman.
Oh
We're all
well, that's the whole point of racism. Is like everybody else aside from my.
yeah,
race.
all right, but I think that sounds worse to me.
But that's the whole point of it. Treating to justify that we are the better race, like the Aryan race, like back in World War II, the pure Japanese, or if you want to go back all the way back.
Well,
into, like,
I mean, I think typically it's ordained by God. Whoever the people consider to be God, it's usually like we are the ones that are blessed, and they are the ones that are not. That's up until just about modern times, and continuing into modern times in many places, and probably including here among a lot of our people. Some of us are ordained by God, and some of us aren't.
So I guess
And that's why you guys were slaves and we weren't. You know what I mean? Like, we were the plantation owners, you guys were the slaves, because God said that's the way it should be.
Because our God was more powerful than your God, and we decided to subjugate you.
Well, or we just don't believe that your God is nonsense.
So
You
it
know
all
what I mean?
comes down. So it all comes down to religion again, right? It all comes down to religion, basically playing a part where we have superiority complex, and anybody who doesn't worship my God is basically inferior.
Yeah, I mean, the Jews have this too. Like that, they're the chosen people, right?
I guess I'm not
According to their own mythology,
quoting.
they are the ones chosen. I mean, like, then clearly, like, you can read it like in the Bible. It's like you have Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, right?
Yeah.
And then they had Cain and Abel, and Cain was cast out from the Garden of Eden. Now we're told that Adam and Eve were the first people, right?
Right.
But when Cain left the Garden of Eden, he went to, I can't remember the name of the city, but there was a city right over there. Who the fuck were those people?
Who the fuck knows, dude?
Who the fuck were those people? But they were already there, but they weren't chosen,
Right.
right? So the only ones that mattered were the ones that were,
Was it
descended from
Gomorrah?
Adam and
Was it
Eve, and
Sodom
then
or Gomorrah?
I don't remember,
forgot.
but I don't know if that's Gomorrah or not, but I don't think it is actually. But and then you have it even further, where you have like all these like people descended from Adam and Eve in living out in the world. But then you had, I think it was Jacob, who changed his name to Israel or whatever.
Right.
And then from him, those are the chosen people that became the Israelites, you know what I mean, or whatever, the Jews. And because they were directly chosen, all else was not, right? And that's Judaism. And then Christianity has done that too, and Islam has done that too. Like, you look at most Islamic monarchies, like all their monarchs are descendants of fucking what's his name, Muhammad. Like we were in Morocco a couple of years ago, and they have a king, and he's supposedly a descendant. I mean, I don't know what the reality is, but he's supposedly a descendant of Muhammad, and that's important because we are the ones that were chosen. Y'all weren't,
This is
and
why,
yeah, that's.
This is why I'm not
religion,
religious.
like, I mean, again, religion, in my opinion, was always about
Control.
creating and maintaining power. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
absolutely,
control.
absolutely.
And sometimes for good and sometimes for ill. Like, I mean, again, like
Right.
life in what is it, like 4000 BC without the 10 commandments was probably pretty rough. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of stuff in the 10 commandments that are some good shit. It's like, you know what? Killing people's bad. Stealing shit is bad. You know what I mean? Like, and God says it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, if I say it, who the fuck am I? But if God says it, you know what I mean? Like, and, you know, we're, you know, kind of conditioned, you know, just through evolution to look to a higher figure to guide us, parents, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, our clan elders. You know what I mean? Like, that's DNA shit. You know, but so that's the thing, is like, and you know, once we started getting smarter, the people that were even smarter than the most of us, they were like, okay, God, like, you know what I mean? They're like, that's the thing, and that's how they control us.
Oh, but those laws have been. I mean, like Hammurabi's law, right? An eye for an eye. You know, those laws were set thousands of years before, before Jesus Christ came. You know, the supposed coming of Jesus Christ. You know, came coming down to earth. And all religions are like that.
Well,
All
yeah, I mean,
religions
but
tell you the good and the bad. You know, you should always treat everybody the same. You know, don't murder people, don't steal from people. They're all. It's basically all the same shtick. But
well, so that stuff is all about maintaining an orderly society, right? Like within. And then there's other stuff, you know, again, like, so the Christians went big on this, where you need to convert everybody to Christian. Everybody needs to hear Jesus's words, you know what I mean? And accept him as the savior.
right.
And that's where it became that's why, you know, Christianity turned into such an empire building religion.
And the retaking of Jerusalem. How many crusades were there? I thought like 4 or 5, 6. I forgot how many crusades there were. Just trying to retake the city of Jerusalem. Which was,
but yeah, I mean, that like, you know, like, that was always one thing I really approved of. Like, it's like there's two sides to this one. It's like, I approved of Judaism's no proselytizing. So like, Jews don't go out and try to turn people into Jews. What they do try to do is try to get less practicing Jews back into the fold, which is different. But to me, there's like a racist element of that. There's an exclusionary element of that. Whereas with Christianity, there's an inclusion part of it. It's like, anybody can be one of us. You know what I mean? Like, and that's great. But Christians are pushed to make sure, like, to spread the word of Jesus, which then that often has come at the end of a sword. You know, like, so it's like, like, yeah, like, one is there. I don't know which one is better, because one is better on this side and the other one's better on this side.
Well, you know what? Tell that to all the South American Aztec civilizations that, you know, got rolled over by Magellan and fucking Cortez. You know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, that's colonialization is in my opinion, largely, like, you know, that we learned that from Christianity, I think.
Yeah. But the big social thing comes back is, you know, trying to make people who are slightly different from us, you know, acceptable. Is a Nazi acceptable? No. I will never accept a Nazi. Is being a white supremacist acceptable? No. I will never accept a white supremacist, because those two things and a bunch of other shit is basically detrimental to the human race as a whole.
Well, I mean, this is the interesting thing.
Inclusionary shit like that.
It hasn't been very long at all that we've tried to build a society where, like, we're trying to include everybody. You know what I mean? And we're clearly still struggling at that. But before a place like America, we never did. You know what I mean? Like, you go through Europe and just taking the Jews as an example, they hadn't really been accepted in a single, like, they were allowed to stay. But were they included, like, in a real sense, you know, like, or accepted? No. Let's say they were tolerated. Which is different. Right. But it hasn't been very long at all that we haven't been building societies as, like, okay, in group, out group. Right. You know what I mean? Like, this is the first one, like, and we still have the issue where, well, I mean, we have borders and we need them, but, like, we still have the thing. It's like, you're either American or you're not, you know, which I, at some point in our future, would like to get rid of that too. Right. But for now, you know, at least being an American doesn't have to do with what race you are. And like that's, you know, I mean, again, this is the first time we've done this stuff. Right. So the fact that we're stumbling isn't surprising. No, you know what I mean? Like,
in the 245 years that we've existed as a nation, right? We're number one. I mean, literally, we're the most powerful nation on the entire planet. We wield so much influence. We have one of the strongest, if not the strongest military out there. We have we have economic influence on basically, you know, the rest of the world.
Yes,
We did that in
we are the imperial core over this
right.
planet.
We
Yes.
did the 200, and we did this in 245 years, whereas as other governments and other nations have been there for thousands of years and have never really reached the level. Well, maybe the Mongolian Empire.
I mean, I'll
but
tell you, I think it had to do with the timing of the shit.
I
You know what I
guess.
mean? Like, I
But-
mean, we formed our country right around the time when like the Industrial Revolution was really starting to kick into gear, and we had
Right.
all this resources here that weren't like we
Right.
didn't have people living on our land for thousands of years. I mean,
Right.
we did, but we killed them all. But you know, I mean, like we were just primed to just take advantage and build our country at that moment.
Right. And because we included people from other nations, then they were allowed to come here and not feel free, and they didn't have oppression coming down on their heads. They were given the opportunity to expand on their education and try and make something of themselves. Like literally, we are the land of the free. You know, we're literally the melting pot of the world. And because of all that, all these great ideas came out from us and from people all over the world, right? And now you're starting to see that. I mean, Biden's administration is probably the most diverse.
I think it is. Yeah.
I have seen in my lifetime. We have our first gay cabinet member, Pete Buttigieg, who is now, you know, head of he's Secretary of Transportation, right? We had Rachel Levine, who is the assistant director of health. We have a half black, half Southeast Asian vice president, right?
And half cop. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm not
I'm
gonna
just
let.
fucking with you.
No. That's one thing I'm not gonna let Kamala Harris get away with, right? Because I still remember.
I mean, I'm a like, look, I hammered her on that shit during the primaries and shit. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave her alone until
Oh, yeah?
like, cause yeah, like,
Okay.
cause I mean, I don't. First of all, I haven't heard much from her, and I'm just gonna judge the administration on the things that they do.
Okay.
And if they seem to be pushing towards police reforms and the things that are good and things that are good in that direction, then, you know, I'm not going to hammer her. You know, I'll judge her on her current work. She's got the job.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just going to criticize what I see worthy of criticism. I'm not going to harp on her history anymore. I already said that bit. It's just going to piss the K-hive off.
Right. What office does Bernie Sanders hold again? I mean, he hold a budget committee.
He's the seat of the budget committee.
He's
Yeah.
the seat of the budget committee, and like, is he the first person of Jewish descent to hold that position?
Possibly. I don't know.
Possibly, not too sure.
But that's just seniority. It's not. That's not woke reasoning.
Right, it's
Like
not
that's
woke
just
reasoning.
seniority.
But like I said, oh god, I can't remember this other woman's name she's also from California. Well, anyway, we have the most diverse cabinet in the history of the United States, and hopefully from this example, right, people will start accepting. If they run the country the right way, if things keep going the way they are, if the economy starts to blossom back up, if jobs start coming back on board, if the infrastructure plan takes place, you know, I'm just praying, you know, people who are leaning right will start to realize, hey, maybe we shouldn't be listening to Fox. Maybe we shouldn't be listening to all these other right-wing idiots saying it's doom and despair and they're going to come after us. I'm like, dude, when I heard Marjorie Taylor Greene and who's that other jerk off? Mo Brooks.
Hawley or something. Yeah.
Or Hawley, whatever. Like, they were going to start the Anglo-Saxon party. Dude, just throw a swastika on top of it. Get it over with. Put the fucking white hood on.
Well, yeah. I mean, let them do it. Let them do it.
You know,
Like,
let them do it. And
let
you know
them
what?
telegraph how extreme they are as early as
Exactly.
possible. This way,
And-
like at least the people, like, because some people are not going to be turned off by that, and they're just going to go
That's
towards
fine.
it.
Go
And
for
that's
it.
like go for it.
Go
But
for it.
most people won't,
Right.
even in the South.
And if history repeats itself, this will be like the umpteenth time we have basically struck down fascism, white nationalism, right, racism, right? Every single fucking time, from 1865 all the way up until now. So yeah, by all means,
I mean, we
go
don't
right
really
ahead.
want it to. I mean, it does get footholds clearly, and we want to eliminate them being able to. But yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, I don't want trans people to be so unsafe in the South.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I don't want that. You
Well, I
know,
don't
so
want-
I would rather push them back even further. Like, I would rather keep them staggered.
I don't want anybody to feel unsafe anywhere.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole point. And you know, only people if only people would, stop and listen and try and work together. But again, it's hard. I mean, like,
Yeah, we're not there yet.
we're not there yet. I mean, there are a lot of hurdles we have to go over. Police reform, right? Do we need to defund the police? And again, defunding the police doesn't mean taking away your fucking budget, and preventing you from buying the stuff that you do need the police. It just
Right.
basically means
Yeah,
taking,
that's
it's
I
just
mean, again,
basically-
that's we've talked about this before, but
Right.
that's just another example of poor left messaging.
but
That
also,
defund the police
right.
is a terrible slogan.
But also community groups and leaders need to get together and say, hey, look, let's stop picking on one particular group and start working together. Correct?
Yeah.
Right? Things like that people need to organize more. People need to take the first step. Just don't stand by the sidelines and wait for somebody else to take the reins and
Yeah.
say, let's start something. No, just go on, fucking do it,
Yeah,
Wow,
and
dude.
well, I mean, again, like, I feel like it comes back again to the bootstraps things. Like, yes, we individuals should just be doing that, but also, like, I want to see, the Biden administration making some changes to make it easier to form unions, to collect, easier for people to find each other and get together and have reasons to do so, and not try to eliminate whatever obstacles there are to it.
It'll happen.
So,
Amazon may have won this round, this time.
yeah, they sure did.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Eventually, it will start coming out. Oh wow! I mean, like, so I have a job at Amazon, so I'm making $50 an hour. All of a sudden, I'm a contract worker. I have no benefits. I have no guarantee that I can retain my job, right? Eventually, that's all going to weigh in. So,
Yeah.
And once hopefully the infrastructure project starts taking hold, again, it's not just about building roads and bridges. It's about
Jobs.
It's not yet, but it's not, like I said, it's not even just about building roads and bridges and fixing, fixing the broken transportation system. It's like rezoning. It's like rezoning cities, right? Creating agencies to help, new social programs to help people out, right? Getting rid of student debt is a big one too.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And I think, what is it? They Biden administration said that $50,000 or less, they eliminated that.
Yeah, they were going to forgive a lot.
They're going to forgive a lot. So again, everything is, it's a slow roll. It's not going to be like a man, snap my fingers and all of a sudden it's there. It's going to be a slow roll. But, if you can, try and contribute what you can to help out, right? Like, if you know of a job that's open, right, and somebody's out of work, please point them in that direction. Even something as small as that, because that's what I've been trying to do with all our friends who don't have jobs right now, who are unemployed. I have my fingers, in many places. You don't want to know where these fingers have been, but
I do not.
but I do have a bit of an outreach, and I've been trying very hard. I've helped out maybe 3 of my friends so far, placed into agencies, and I still have 4 more to go. So
No, that's all right. I helped Don find that freelance work at least. I'm terrible at networking, just even for myself. So
don't worry, I'll do that.
I'm not a great resource, but
I'll
yeah,
do
I'm
that
glad
for
I
you.
was able to help Don a little.
And you did,
Yeah.
you did, and just helping out somebody that way. That's the smallest bit. May not feel like a lot to you, but for somebody else, that could be.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this gets back to a topic we talked about in a couple episodes back, where, like, I feel like Americans have a hard time realizing that, like, when you help other people, it makes you feel fucking good.
Hell yeah.
Like, it helps it helps you from, like, I know you guys don't believe in the orbs as much as I do, but it literally helps your spirit. You know what I mean? It makes you it makes you feel stronger.
You don't have to believe in orbs to make you feel, to make you.
No, I agree. Like, for me, yeah, it's about the orbs. But
I know
but
it's
yeah,
about the orbs.
but yeah, no, you don't. You're right. It just has to do, like, again, you can be an atheist and believe it just has to do with your, like, the chemicals that get released in your body when you help someone.
Exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing I think Americans really need to learn, is that helping others helps you so much.
Yeah,
It's selfish. It can be selfish to help others, man. Like, it is selfish.
How is it selfish?
Because it makes you feel good. It makes me feel good to do things for someone else. In reality, that's probably why you do it. You know what I mean? You may not realize it, you may not admit it.
But that's not being selfish. Selfish is basically, putting yourself above everybody else's needs. That's being selfish.
Well, I mean, again, selfish isn't necessarily bad. Like, don't think of it as like a bad word, but it's like, all right, like you can base your entire moral system of, it's like, okay, I want what's best for me. What's best for you turns out to be best for me because it makes my environment better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I want your life to be better for selfish reasons.
All right,
That's not bad though.
Way. Yeah,
like that's not bad.
That's not bad.
But the reality is like, because you know, again, like in an evolutionary sense, like all you give a fuck about, all like even beyond you, all your DNA strands give a fuck about is replicating. That's it. You know what I mean? And so what's the best way to make that happen? Make a nice, safe environment for my DNA strands to replicate themselves as much as they possibly can. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, it can entirely based in selfishness, you know, and yet you're helping other people while you're being selfish, you know?
We have a couple more minutes left, so.
Yeah, I'm just about out of power on my laptop here too. So.
All right, I will try and do a little more research on the PC building side of it, so I can finally join you guys on some decent shit. Yeah, I know the enticement. Look at that.
I'm so excited. And then in a year or so, when video card prices go down, this puppy will be replaced by a 4,000 or whatever the freaking number is at the time.
Listen,
but,
I'm
so excited.
Our lizard overlords will never allow that to happen. We will always have a shortage, and we will have to sacrifice our second-born to get a decent video card.
No, I mean go back 1 year, and video cards were very reasonable prices. So this is temporary. This is temporary. Nothing can stop the tech. Nothing can stop the tech.
Nothing can stop the tech.
I'm gonna kill some 4K zombies tonight. I'm lying because I don't have a 4K monitor. That's the next purchase.
That's the next
purchase. Monitor, and then after that,
gotta wait for that stimulus check. That third stimulus check.
Yeah, I'm blessed enough to have been getting stimulus checks from my mom while she's trying to offload her money before the state takes it. So.
All right, man. Good.
All right, brother.
Good talk.
Yep.
All right, thank you, and I'll see you guys next week.
Later.
Later.